Hey everybody, welcome back to another CoinFlix Vodcast. Hey Clifton.
Hey Evan.
How are you doing?
It's great to be here with you again.
Likewise.
I'm doing very well. Thank you for asking. And as you can see, we've made a few upgrades to the studio space since our last episode.
It looks and sounds great.
Indeed. That's what it's there for, right? Yeah. Before we continue, I would like to remind our viewing audience that we are a YouTube channel. We are seeking subscribers, and we love it when people comment, when people like things, when people click the little notification bell so they can see that new stuff is coming out. And of course, I personally promise, as with all of my social platforms, if you comment on our videos, ask a question, say anything at all, we will absolutely respond to you. Unless you're being, a weird jerk or saying something irrelevant. But yes, if you have a comment or a question, please leave it on our video. We will absolutely respond to you. Every single one of them, every single time, guaranteed.
We generally want to share with you what we've learned.
Yes.
And questions. Because look, cryptocurrency is complicated. It is.
Yeah.
That's why a lot of people are still figuring this out.
Yeah. We'd like to make this as valuable a resource as possible to all of you while we're also, musing with one another.
As it's been said, the greatest lessons in life I usually learn through my mistakes.
Oh, yeah. You right? Specifically.
Me specifically.
I've learned the most through Evan's mistakes.
Perfect.
Yeah. So how was your weekend?
I finally watched Dune. I know it's been out for a while. I wanted to watch it on the big screen, but I watched it at home. I got to give a shout out to my wife, Liza. Thank you for being such a movie buff like me and watching these types of films, because not everyone wants to watch these types of films.
Right.
And we had a great time watching it. Wow. Like, it rarely, ever so often a film will come around where you're just like, this is a great film. From not only just the story part, but what I want to ask you as a DP in your profession, the lighting, the film looked amazing. And I'm sure as a DP, you're always like asking yourself, where was the camera? Where was the lights? What was green screened? What was set extension? All the details. I want to ask you, what was your takeaway from watching Dune?
Well, I can definitely say the lighting is spectacular. I mean, a lot of it is in the desert, right? So there's a lot of environmental lighting and bounce boards and whatnot that they had to use, but or at least emulating that, right, in whatever studio environment they were filming in. But they did a great job. Everywhere that there was CG or anywhere that they had background replacements and things, it was all very seamless. And the cinematography, of course, is by the same person that did Rogue One, right? It's the same director of photography as
such
Rogue
a good
One.
film too.
Amazing, yeah, and for a Star Wars movie, that really was kind of an interesting sort of standalone piece that does feel different from a lot of the Star Wars franchise, right?
Yeah.
And speaking of Star Wars, just to geek and from a fan standpoint and not so much even a DP standpoint, watching Dune. I saw it in theaters, by the way. Some friends dragged me out to IMAX. I was like, I don't want to spend this much on it.
And it sounded amazing too.
Oh
probably.
My gosh! Yeah, it sounded amazing. The bass shakers in the seats.
I could hear it from the living room, like in a theater, it'd have been like,
oh, it was awesome. Yeah, I was like, the worm's coming up beneath me. Yeah, we're all gonna die. But the designs are so unique and original, and it dawned on me in the middle of watching it why I was so just like it was so breathtaking for me.
Yeah, is
Star Wars is kind of the closest thing, right? It's an intergalactic space drama. It's sort of like, Macbeth in space, whatever, right? But the designs are so unique and original in this because they're not tied to something that came out in the 70s.
Oh,
right? That's the thing is that Star Wars as a universe has to adhere to design principles that were made 40 years ago.
And they've upgraded.
But there's only so much they can do before it feels like a totally different universe or different story, because it has to rely on a certain amount of technology that would have existed within a certain time and space.
Yep.
And Dune, from a design standpoint, is literally it was a blank slate. All the artists could just make all these new envisionings of how this technology would work or function or look.
Even though there was an 80s or 70s version of Dune.
Yes, there was a feature, which had Bowie in it, right?
Bowie, I also think Sting was in there, if I'm wrong or right. Sorry, audience.
Bowie and or Sting.
I think,
not interchangeable. Sorry, boomers, if you're mad at me for saying that.
But it was just a remake, But wow, of a remake, if I could even say that.
Yeah, and I mean the piece was kind of historically cursed, right? You know about this?
No, is
Like
there some...
they tried to make it so many times, and between budget issues or other things coming up, it keeps not getting made properly by different people. And they put together sort of a dream team of artists, I think, for the version that is the decades old one now that still had so many hiccups and issues. Like this project, historically being sort of a cursed project in Hollywood, is such a problem that even with how good it is and how well received it may have even been in test audiences, the studios didn't greenlight doing part 2 until they saw how this one did in theaters, just because of sort of the superstition around it. Like, we don't know this is actually going to work because this film historically doesn't work.
Clearly, there's a second. They set the sequel, and
obviously it's going to happen.
Yeah,
it's amazing,
fantastic. And we won't go on too long about this because we're here to talk about NFTs today. But I want to bring one more thing up to you. When you look at a frame, when the movie going audience goes to see a film like Dune, I don't know how aware they are of the detail that it goes to pull off a frame like that.
Oh man, and some of the practical lighting effects, like even his nightlight, that robot, the floating orb that is basically a nightlight that follows you through the castle. That alone is a feat of design, of technical execution. I'm told that there's a very large practical aspect to that object existing that's not just like a 3D thing. Like they definitely had a light source of some kind, or that thing may have even been on a rail or a track, and they just maybe
to give the real lighting effect. Yeah. It's amazing. I mean,
it's crazy.
It is. But so NFTs.
Yes.
Let's talk about NFTs, because I know NFTs has been something that people are like, why are people drilling millions of dollars into owning a JPEG when I can just like copy and paste in an email? Hey, did you see this image? Or I can share it on an iPhone or an Android or whatever.
Yeah.
So let's kind of demystify NFTs if we can.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So first, what does NFT mean? What's the acronym mean?
The acronym stands for non-fungible token.
Non-fungible token.
Yes.
What does fungible mean?
Right. So fungible is duplicatable, replicatable, mass produced.
So it can't be duplicated, even though JPEGs can be duplicated.
Which is where the confusion comes from.
Yes. What we're saying is this JPEG, as it exists as an NFT, has a certain a code or a licensing or an address that keeps it from being just the same copied version, right?
Correct. So basically, that created by date is tagged to the unique identifier string that doesn't exist on a hard drive that can be copied and then overwritten. It exists on the blockchain in a way that can never be overwritten.
I got it.
And the history of the date it was created, the wallet address that created it, the original owner, right? And all of the hands it's passed through as it's sold or given to someone or donated or whatever. Like as it moves through wallets, moves through different locations of the blockchain, all of that is tagged in the history on that particular NFT. Wow. So the thing that makes the NFT isn't actually the image. The image is a thumbnail that represents the unique identification string. That's what makes it non-fungible. The image is fungible. The string, the identifier, is not fungible. Your birth certificate's fungible, you're non-fungible, right? But the birth certificate represents you.
So like all the kickback, now that you're explaining this to me, all the kickback on NFTs from artists, this is a way of almost kind of policing the originator of the artwork. Because before NFTs before they came around, how would you ever prove you're the originator? There's so much like...
It's very difficult.
Yeah, it'd be very difficult because I copied and pasted. So you could basically fraud almost anything digitally.
When people see the JPEGs and they're like, what the heck, why is that worth $1 million, right? It's more what the JPEG is attached to that's worth money. It's the original creation date of that thing.
Right.
So like take CryptoPunks, for example, right?
Okay.
One of the first NFT series that really blew up that everyone knows about is like, why is this little, 16 pixel by 16 pixel, low resolution, bald guy with a pipe and a mohawk
be honest,
worth 29 Ethereum.
There's a lot of frustration out there when they see CryptoPunks. And if you don't know what CryptoPunks is, Google it and you'll see what we're talking about. It literally looks like something done
get ready to get
an
angry.
Old paint program that any one of us could do.
Right.
All right. So you think.
Yeah.
And how is that worth $1 million? Like, how does anyone even think that should be worth that much?
So if you look at, immediately, art is so subjective, right? And
that's also
I think
true.
A pretty universal thing about art is that its place in history and the story behind the creation of it and its survival through various things is what makes it valuable, right? There was a Banksy artwork that sold at auction, and the moment that the gavel struck, this person spent $1 million or whatever for it, right?
All right.
They struck the gavel, and the second that the auction sold, the canvas or the frame released the Banksy print into a shredder. And those shreds are now worth more money than how much the person paid for it at the auction. The destroyed piece of art, because it's a part of the story of the art, is worth more money now than it was before it was shredded. Because it now contains the performance art aspect of it having been shredded, which is like a Banksy thing, right? So the person bought a non-shredded Banksy work, but now he owns a piece of a Banksy public art piece.
Man.
Crazy, right? He owns a piece of Banksy performance art that's worth even more. That is more valuable because we all were like, oh, I felt something when that happened. And that gives it more value.
That's interesting.
So if you look at the very, very first painting ever made, which I don't know what it is, but the very first painting ever made, it could be literally like a really crude, mammoth laying on its side.
On the side of a cave wall. Sure.
Yeah, but that object, even being a terrible, terrible painting that you barely recognize as being, I think this is a mammoth maybe, that's priceless because it is the first example of a person making art. Same thing was separate from the cave painting, right?
Man.
The very first canvas, cloth stretched over something with a piece of art painted on it that could be moved from place to place. It doesn't matter what that's a picture of.
Right.
The fact that it is the first kind of mobile transportable art makes it priceless.
When they look at CryptoPunks, they say anyone could have done it with a keyboard and a mouse. But what you're telling me, there's still a differentiating factor to why CryptoPunks has value, even as simple as it looks, and why the Mona Lisa necessarily might not be selling for $1 million as an NFT.
Right. Yeah, so basically, I agree. No one could have made the Mona Lisa except for
the artist.
Leonardo, right?
Yeah.
Leonardo da Vinci is the only person who could have made the Mona Lisa up until the moment the Mona Lisa was made. There are other artists who have been that technically sound.
Sure.
At that time and since then.
Of course.
The moment the moment the Mona Lisa was made, others in the world could have made an identical copy. And now there are a tremendous number of artists who could make an identical copy of the Mona Lisa. And there's a reason that fabricated forgeries of artwork are sold in the black market. This is a thing, right? So
it's the first to market idea.
Well, not necessarily first to market, but first to have the idea, right?
Okay, first to have the idea. First to create it.
It takes Leonardo da Vinci's life to come to the day that he decided to create the Mona Lisa and his skill set to create the Mona Lisa.
Okay, a culmination of things to get to that point. All right.
And so now it took how long has MS Paint existed? Yet when you look at CryptoPunks, even if there's 16 by 16 or 32 by 32 or 60, I'm not sure exactly how many pixels it is, but it's very few, right?
Yeah.
How long has MS Paint existed? Yet so many of those heads and faces were never before drawn in such a tiny number of pixels in that program we've all had access to for decades.
Yeah.
Right? So on the art standpoint, it's like, well, it's easy to make. But why did no one else make it before? From a historical standpoint, it's one of the first NFT projects to do what it did on the blockchain.
On the blockchain, right.
And at that point, it doesn't matter what they're pictures of. It could be literally different colored single pixels, and it would still have value because of what it proves in terms of the blockchain and what those unique identifiers does.
Your argument is this, that even though it looks simple, so many things have had to evolve to get to the place to purchase a piece or to purchase a JPEG and have it
to purchase a unique identifier string represented by a JPEG. The JPEG isn't what's worth $1 million. Because you can go to the CryptoPunks and you can take a screenshot and make a JPEG, but you can't sell that JPEG for any amount of money at all. It doesn't matter. No one will pay you for that. Right?
Because it's already been bought.
Right. And even if you took a screenshot of a CryptoPunk and made it into an NFT,
or put as my image on Facebook or whatever,
you can't sell an NFT of a CryptoPunk you didn't buy, because
well, of course,
anyone who knows what they're doing before they invest in that CryptoPunk, they're going to look at the unique identifier and they're going to trace it back to being an origin from that project, and then they'll know that they're actually buying a real CryptoPunk for $1 million, or they're buying your knockoff for half an Ethereum, which of course they're not going to pay you anyway.
So do you chalk this up as to this is just an evolution of our species all over again?
Yeah,
going from the physical to the digital.
All it is that we have found a way to truly create a unique digital asset.
Wow.
And a way to prove that it's not a forgery. That's all we've done. That's all
Wow,
we've done.
yeah,
And
yeah.
any argument over whether or not the art attached to it is valuable is just your standard what is art and is art valuable
Subjective.
argument, and whether or not digital art is considered valuable. That's all that argument is.
Yeah. Currently, aren't or almost all NFTs being bought and sold on the Ethereum blockchain?
The majority, yes.
The majority,
Not
yes.
all.
Not all,
yeah.
but the majority, yes. So Ethereum is still number one blockchain to hold your NFTs as a registered source of that NFT.
Yeah. And really more than anything, Ethereum is where most of the money currently is and where most of the transactions are happening, right? Bitcoin's a little clunky and slow. It was really a proof of concept thing.
Yeah.
It will always have value because it's a gold standard, and we know that it
Right.
we know that it has a finite number that will ever exist, and that's what will make it always
Bitcoin.
worth money, right? I mean, gold has value. Not because we actually need gold for things, but because we've decided
Like
it's a
we
finite
did.
source that,
Yeah.
So, I mean, other than some electronics that use gold as a superconductor, right? But like basically, Ethereum has all the money and the activity on it right now. And in a way, because of how expensive it is to mint NFTs on Ethereum, there's a barrier for entry, so you're less likely to have quite as many con artists just minting stuff for no money and then and trying to just sneak out for a bunch of cash. But there are other truly decentralized blockchains like Avalanche, where you can mint NFTs as well. But there's a half a dozen or a few dozen of them that are all competing for now spot number 3, trying to overtake Binance. But Ethereum is the number one functional blockchain with the most money that is decentralized, that people kind of trust, where NFTs are happening.
So have you bought an NFT? I'm curious. Have you bought an NFT?
I've not bought one, but I have minted.
You've minted NFTs.
Yes.
So you've put them up for auction.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I haven't bought one. Would you buy an NFT?
Yes.
You would buy an NFT?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Depending. I mean, if anything depending, right? There are reasons I would buy an NFT. I wouldn't buy an NFT at this point. That's a random, 10,000, AI generated NFT. I put that in quotes because it's, most of the times it's a misnomer. An artist is designing the pieces, like the glasses or the headband or the laser eyes, and it's really just the randomization is automated. It's not really AI. Truly AI generated things look like nightmares, right? That's like Google Deep Dream. But
Right.
the process of randomizing accessories is automated, right? So that to create 10,000 unique NFTs is really just like a shape of a head and a different color fur and then different glasses or a pipe or whatever.
Right.
So I wouldn't invest in that just because it exists and because like Bored Apes blew up and CryptoPunks blew up.
Okay.
I would invest in an NFT series if I was an active part of the community and I wanted to be, a piece of that. Say, for example, there are, 55,000 holders of Shiba Inu.
Yep.
And there are now Shiba, Floki, I think.
Both are meme coins.
But let's say there are 55,000 Floki holders, and then there are 10,000 Floki NFTs. So there are already not enough NFTs on Floki to buy for every single person holding the token. Mm. So even though there are so many, they're not super valuable just because of existing, right?
Yeah.
And they're not really even valuable because they do anything for you.
Right.
But to say I was an early member of the Floki community, I'm one of the 10,000 people who bought one, and even when they were released, only 1 in 5 could even have one. So that already gives you some level of clout.
Do you think buying an NFT now, so 10 years later you could sell it? Do you think there's value in that?
There is if you're buying one of the ones that already have historical significance.
Okay.
I think that it's a little intense to assume that some random NFT collection you never heard of is going to suddenly have historical significance, because the first ever 10,000 unit NFT collection has already happened and has already been duplicated a dozen times.
Yep.
Right. So if you're jumping onto 10,000 unit NFT project number 100 that has no real foundation because you're just hoping that one's going to blow up, it's a shot in the dark. It's gambling.
Yeah.
Right. There are NFTs though that will carry special weight or special privileges with them. Right. So for example, if let's say a celebrity tweets out, "Hey, I'm making an NFT of this tweet," right?
Okay.
And then they screenshot it and they put it on the blockchain,
Yep.
and then they upload some sort of proof saying this is in fact my wallet. I am actually minting this NFT. Mm-hmm. Anyone who buys this NFT, one, people are going to want to buy it because it's a celebrity and it was actually in their hands, and they're like, "Wow, I own a piece of
history
whoever."
there." Yeah.
When they post that, they can say, you're just going to own this and it's the only one I'm ever going to make. Cool.
Uh-huh.
So that happens and someone buys it. Later, let's say they spend 10 Ethereum, which is 30 grand, whatever.
Yep.
Then later the celebrity says, "Hey, whoever's holding that NFT, I will have lunch with you no matter what when you're in town. Hit me up. If you have the NFT, I'll have lunch with you.
That's cool.
Guess what that will sell for now?
Oh, yeah. That's
what I'm saying. So because it's verifiable, no one can be like, I have the NFT, have lunch with me. They can literally look and go, that's not the one I sold.
It's very interesting.
That's why that matters. It actually shows up in your wallet. Like in my Trust wallet, the NFTs that I have minted are actually there, and you can see the image and everything.
The actual JPEG is in the wallet?
Yes.
For another placeholder for our producers, another episode would be great. What's the difference between a wallet and just the app?
That sounds like a CoinFlix Academy thing to me.
Okay, and Clifton will be talking about this. We got to come back here and film this because that's for me as a newbie to crypto. That was learning to how they differentiate was important because they are different, like pretty different.
Yeah.
Your wallet versus just an exchange. So we'll do that another episode because we can go on for hours on this shit all day.
Yeah.
All right, NFTs. I think you answered all my questions, Clifton. Is there anything you want to add to NFTs?
Definitely. I'm excited. A couple more things, right?
Okay.
So back to the non-fungible token concept real quick. Right?
Okay.
So coins, as we discussed in an earlier episode, are the native currency of the base blockchain other things are built on. Ethereum is a coin. Bitcoin is a coin. Technically, Doge is a coin. And what else? Binance is a coin, right?
There's a lot.
Tokens are other projects built on those blockchains.
Okay.
Right. So Shiba Inu is a token.
Floki
is a token.
God.
CoinFlix is a token.
It's right. CoinFlix is a token. The one that we're involved with.
Yes. So those are tokens. They exist on a different blockchain. They're not the native currency of that blockchain.
Blockchain, which is called a coin.
Right.
All right.
Those tokens.
Yes.
And the coins that they're built on.
Yes.
The blockchains are built on. Tokens and coins are both fungible. You can mint more anytime. If I send you one CoinFlix, that one CoinFlix I sent you doesn't have a unique identifier string.
Okay.
You simply have a CoinFlix.
But the transaction is recorded on the blockchain. The transaction is
recorded, but that particular the one CoinFlix token I sent you doesn't have its own identifier. There's simply a transaction history showing that I sent you a CoinFlix.
And that I have it on the blockchain for everyone to see.
But if I send you 100 CoinFlix tokens, you don't have 100 separate transactions showing each token with its own history.
Right. It's just that you sent me that amount.
Right.
Okay, got it.
That's fungible. Those are not uniquely identified.
Okay.
If I mint an NFT, that is uniquely identified. And every single one I send has its own history per NFT.
So if the NFT changes hands a dozen times, all of those dozen times is recorded on the blockchain.
Yes. And that's the part of what makes that really cool is not only things like I said earlier, like a real world connection where you can say, hey, anyone who's holding this NFT can do this, this, and this, right? So like you can do ticketing for events that way.
Well, I think everything eventually is going to go to a blockchain.
It absolutely can, yeah.
Because it's foolproof.
Yeah.
Because it's being monitored by decentralized, it's by everybody.
Yeah.
So
my favorite theory is if you take intellectual property rights, right? Films, artwork, anything.
Yes.
And you write up a contract from the creator of the artwork that says, I am signing over full ownership rights to my original piece of artwork. Maybe it's on a canvas.
Okay.
And instead of another person saying, I'm selling you this art and you own it now, I'm saying I'm signing over all the rights to this token address. So when you mint an NFT of the artwork, for example, and you write a contract relinquishing owner rights of the intellectual property to the holder of that, no one has to sign a contract ever again to actually own the physical copy. As long as that contract exists and the NFT is being traded between hands, you don't have to rewrite a new contract when you sign over the intellectual property. You simply sell the NFT, and that represents the entire contract associated to that piece of art. You can do this for films. You can do this for music licensing. You can do this for anything. And every single time that sells, the contract basically comes with it that now says Evan Hesse is now the owner of that contract.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's why blockchain technologies we're going to revolutionize.
It really is.
All of these issues that we had with who is the originator of.
Yeah.
Amazing. Well, I think, Clifton, we've run out of time. So to all of our listeners, thank you for your time and attention.
Yeah.
And we'll be back with some more on the next one, yeah?
Sounds good. Excited for the next one.
Me too. Until next time.
See you guys soon.